Welcome to the Scott and Brandon Show, a show where we entertain the pressing biblical, social, and political issues of today. My name is Scott Jackson, and this is my co-host, Brandon Ulmer. Our aim is to have open conversations about serious topics and to build up the body of Christ in the process. If you're interested in theology, applying scriptural principles to our daily lives, or political and social issues as they relate to Christianity, you'll definitely want to tune in. This is the Scott and Brandon Show. All right. Welcome, everyone, to the Scott and Brandon Show. My name is Scott Jackson, and I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, Brandon Ulmer. And today, we're changing gears a little bit. We're going a little bit more political than some of the other episodes we have recently.
I think it's a lot more political.
It's a lot more political. It's pretty much solely politics today. And we'll probably touch on, how it interacts with the faith. And if you're new to the podcast, if you're new to the YouTube channel here, that's kind of what we like to do. We like to blend Christian theology and current events and politics and things like that from a Christian perspective. So looking at what's going on today, whether it be over in the Middle East or whether it be, here in the homeland, if we're, that's America for us. We like to look at everything that's going on right now from a Christian perspective, through a Christian lens. So that's what we're trying to do here on this show. And just before we jump into everything, I'm just going to go ahead and remind you to go ahead and smash that subscribe button, like the episode, hit the little bell if you want to get notified whenever we have a new episode. So that would be extremely helpful, helps us out a lot. And leave a comment, review, the whole thing. We'd certainly appreciate all that. So we are going to jump into today talking about just kind of, there's a whole bunch of stuff going on right now. There's a bunch of stuff going on with the economy. There's a bunch of stuff going on with Trump's tariffs and everything that he's got put in place, and lots of stuff going on with Iran and the whole Middle East in general. So we're going to try to touch on all of that a little bit today. But before we get into all of that, Brandon, how's everything going over there?
Dude, it's going good. Allergy season though is kicking in. So I've been taking that Allegra D is the only stuff that seems and appears to work. Everything just
it's the best stuff.
No,
it's the best stuff. Yeah,
you need the most powerful stuff you can get, and that seems to be doing the trick. So anybody out there, if you're suffering with allergies and you haven't tried Allegra D, try that one. You can only buy it over the counter though. So
yeah, gotta buy it over the counter. Yeah,
Yeah, and the warm weather is finally settling. Although we got a little bit of cold spill that came in, and I don't like that. I don't appreciate it very much either. And,
how cold did your cold spell get, Brandon?
It's not as cold as yours. And
my cold spell's ridiculous.
Yeah. Yes, your cold spell is absolutely ridiculous. Ours is, 50s at night.
It was 25 degrees yesterday morning.
Yeah. And I don't appreciate the cold spell, but it's short-lived. It is short-lived. So next week I'm back up into the 70s and 80s. So I like it. But
very cool.
What's going on with you?
Not a lot. I had to mow my grass for the first time this year yesterday because we've got I don't know the exact amount of rain that we got up here over the weekend, but it was an obscene amount of rain. It just rained for almost 3 days straight. We had rain pretty much all night Friday night, all day Saturday, and about almost all day Sunday up until probably 8 or 9 o'clock at night. So it made my grass grow ridiculously long. So I had to get on the mower yesterday and mow the grass, laid some mulch down. So that was fun. Other than that, I'm not really doing anything, just working. So
that's all it is.
Life as usual. Yeah, absolutely. So
where do we kick off with Trump?
Well, I was going to say, Brandon, I don't even know where to touch. I think the most popular thing right now is the tariffs that's going on. I think there's lots of opinions on that. I'm curious to see what you think about all that.
So Liberation Day, which was last week, Trump signed the enacted tariffs across the board. I think 10% was the majority across the board.
Yeah, 10% overall tariff.
Then some other countries got a little bit more, like China was at 30%. I think 37% actually, something like that. And, and people are not too pleased with it. But majority of the nations and countries are saying they want to negotiate with Trump. Mm-hmm. And so we have 70 nations, at least being reported, at least that's what I saw put out last night. 70 nations that are wanting to talk to Trump about negotiating these tariffs here. I think we got to realize that tariffs are nothing new. It's not un-American. Matter of fact, I mean, America has been run on tariffs for majority of its lifetime, right? Yeah. Hasn't been just in the last, maybe within the last 50 some years that the tariffs thing hasn't been, the American way of doing things. And, but it also makes sense. Tariffs are imposed on us. We have to pay the tariffs to other countries. And, again, not all the tariffs are charged as high as we are charging them, right? Some, have like a 6 or 7, 8% tariff charge, right? But, we're charged from every country. America is charged to send out exports. Right. And Trump's idea is that, hey, what's fair is we also have a tariff, right?
Yeah.
And how does this make America rich? And so this is I think where the debate is. Obviously, people are concerned this is going to lead into a recession, right? And I think was it Goldman Sachs or maybe Goldman Sachs? I can't remember which financial firm it was. They put out there was like a 44% chance now of a recession.
Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously, we don't want that. But Trump's been preaching tariffs since the late 80s, early 90s. There's videos. You can YouTube it. He has been a tariff guy his whole entire life. And, he recalls back at, I think it was before 1930, when tariffs were part of the American economy system, and America was the wealthiest nation out of all other nations at one point. I can't remember the exact date for that.
Yeah.
And so he's recalling that time period of America's greatest wealth.
Yeah.
And so he wants to bring that back. And so by imposing this tariff on everybody, now we're bringing wealth in, right? Because there was no import, or there was no income tax.
Yeah.
Right? Because the tariffs paid for it all.
Right. Yeah, you didn't need an income tax.
You didn't need an income tax. Tariffs paid for it all. And so, so the one side of the pool is, hey, we're concerned about this that is going to bring about a recession. The other side is, no, it's about to start the economic boom.
Yeah.
And I think that's where everyone's just waiting at right now. And one of the ways to start the economic boom is that you need the Federal Reserve to drop the interest
rates. Yeah.
You drop those interest rates, then the U.S. can, what's the word?
Refinance.
Refinance your debt.
Yeah.
Which obviously the U.S. has tons of, right? You can refinance that, and then you can also start paying it down at a lower rate, right?
Right.
So if that occurs, and I think Trump's a gambling man, but this is a theory. This is a theory. This is why one of the theories being proposed that this is why Trump has issued tariffs all across the board, right? To get the Federal Reserve to drop the interest rate. Whether or not this is true, time was only going to tell, right?
Right.
But if that occurs, then that's obviously going to answer that question there. So yes, we are certainly headed for an economic boom, unlike we've never seen in our lifetime.
Yeah.
If this plays out correctly. Otherwise, then we're going to be heading the opposite direction. We'll head toward a recession.
Yeah, now, it's definitely a high risk, high reward scenario.
It is. And so obviously you can see here the stock market, even the crypto market, has
Mm-hmm.
taken a huge hit.
Big hit. Yeah.
There's a matter of fact, if you look at the index, right, the fear is high. People are selling rapidly right now
Well,
in
it's
the
because there's
stock.
just so much uncertainty. No one knows
There
what's
is.
going
There's
on.
so much uncertainty and volatility in the stock market and in the crypto market.
Yeah.
I'm one of those though. I'm like, this is a good time to buy. This
Yeah.
is a great time, especially crypto. I'm like, holy crap! I can reduce my average cost on crypto.
Yeah.
And
Well, and
because
there's lots of talk around XRP right now, right?
oh
Like about how its potential. And we're going to get into crypto on April 29th. We're going to have a friend of mine on the show and talk about it. But lots of talk around XRP. And I remember first looking at it, maybe several months ago now. And it was $3.10 per coin. And now it's like $1.90. I don't know what it is as of this morning.
I
But
think I looked at $1.87.
as of yesterday, it was $1.90.
But
So
we got to also understand this is XRP is low, and honestly, I'm an XRP holder. I know you are. XRP is low not because of XRP.
mm-mm.
It is low because of the tariffs, which is
Yeah.
that was predictable. That
Yeah.
was it's totally understandable.
Yeah.
So
But
XRP will go back up. So
yeah,
with Bitcoin, Ethereum, all of them will go
all
back
the
up.
big coins, yeah.
Yeah, they're going to go back up, and which we'll then talk more about XRP because I firmly believe XRP has the huge potential of being worth a lot
A lot, yeah.
in the years to come. It's just a waiting game.
But it is an
But
interesting theory to talk about. You mentioned in order to bring about this economic boom, the interest rates have to drop, right?
yeah,
They're still pretty high at the moment. And that is actually the going theory right now that I've heard anecdotally from people in my own circle. And I've also heard from some of the more, conservative alternative media, that Trump is actually, not crazy. He knows what he's doing,
yeah,
but he is taking a big gamble.
he is. But I think this is going to play in his favor. So, and this is why here. The United States is the trade deficit country.
Yeah.
And for those that are not who don't understand this stuff, trade deficit and things of that nature, let's break it down here. What is a trade deficit country? A trade deficit country is when a country's imports exceed its exports. Meaning this, right? We consume and purchase more goods and bring them into the country than we are shipping out of the country.
Yeah.
Right. And that makes the most sense. So why is the U.S. the trade deficit country? It's because we're the number one consumer in the world.
We are the consumer.
And
yeah.
we are the market for all of that. So
Yep.
it is to our advantage that we are the trade deficit country. Because if we're not, then that's detrimental to us. But that because we are the trade deficit country, this in effect could play a favor in Trump's hand right here, because the countries are going to want to get into the market with the U.S. because they know they're going to make money. So yes, because we love buying our stuff off Temu, however you say it, right?
Temu. I've never personally been there. I've heard about it from my wife. So
I've seen the stuff, the ads for it, and I'm like, my kids will come up to me because we'll be watching YouTube or something. Dad, look, I could buy this for like $1.89. I'm like, no, you're not buying that.
No. It'll probably explode.
It's like, oh man.
No, but I mean, kind of, the whole stock market situation right now. And I'm not an economist by any means, but there was a sense that a lot of the growth that was made in the last year or so, kind of like the last year of Joe Biden's presidency, there was a sense, at least to me, that a lot of the growth was artificial. It was kind of artificially inflated. There was a bunch of money being pumped into the stock market, and it didn't seem sustainable to me.
Well, one, they kept the Trump tax cuts. All
Right,
right.
right. Yeah,
Yeah.
they kept the tax
Kept
cuts.
a lot of the tariffs
Yep.
too. The Biden
I think they
administration.
kept all of them.
I think so. So they kept a lot of. They didn't keep Trump's economic policies.
Yeah. Yeah. Um so in a sense there is kind of this feeling that what's happening right now with the market, we had this major reset over the last couple days, was pretty predictable.
Well, I like.
Not that it's comfortable, not that it's, um necessarily good. That's, what's happening. I mean, it depends on who you ask. There's lots of people that say that what's happening is really good for the middle of the country, right?
Yeah.
So you got the middle class that doesn't own really any stocks or anything. They don't care that billionaires are losing billions of dollars by the day. But what they care about is, hey, mortgage rates are probably going to fall into like the 4s or 3% even, and I could probably
Great.
refinance my house, right?
Yeah, and you could do that cash out,
Yeah,
refinance,
absolutely. Yep.
and things of that nature. There is a YouTuber I like. His name is Andre Zick, and he's a crypto slash market guy, type of guy right there. Really, and his videos are good. They're like 15, 20 minutes long, so they're not overly long. But I liked what he said because you used the word reset, and he
Yeah.
used the same word, and he does say Trump is resetting the global economy. Right? Why is he
Yeah.
resetting this? And he does a really great job in pointing out this has been U.S.'s policy for a number of years up until I can't remember the exact date when we stopped really imposing these tariffs. I mean, we've kept them in play, but they've been like really really small, like 1% or something like that. Not been
Yeah.
nothing astronomical. But you can check him out. But he does a really good job. But he calls this the Great Reset, and where Trump is resetting the global economy, and obviously, we have to wait and see. Time's going to tell.
Yeah.
Does this lead to a recession or does this lead to an economic boom? Right.
Well,
And,
and there's some that say it could lead to both. We could have a recession first, and then the boom comes, maybe the second
it might have a minor,
year of the Trump administration.
it could have certainly a minor recession, right? Obviously, I think we've had like $5 trillion wiped out of the stock market, right?
It's been a lot,
Been
yeah.
dissolved, right? And people want that money back, and I want that money back too, as well, right?
Yeah.
And
But I mean, there is a sense that like that the people, your average American, right, who I think there was a statistic that the top 10% in terms of wealth in the United States owns 88% of the stock market. The bottom 12% of the stock market is owned by the next 40% of people in the country. And then the bottom 50% of the people in the country are in debt, like are in massive amounts of debt. So there is a sense that like, half or even over half the country sees, Jeff Bezos and Mark Zuckerberg and all those people losing billions of dollars. And they're like, I don't care. I've been uncomfortable financially for the last 30 years, so none of them decided to come to me and help me when my finances started to struggle. And now all of a sudden they're losing a bunch of money because the stock market is resetting and they're all upset and uncomfortable about it. So it is a weird thing right now, because I did see a statistic. I'll have to find the poll and reference it just so I can cite my sources there a little bit. But there was a poll that came out that actually showed Trump's job approval rating the week of Liberation Day increasing by 4 points overall. He went over 50% for the first time in his political career.
Wow.
So he went from 49% to 53%. And he also increased with several specific demographics that he made inroads with during the election, which I found interesting. So there is a little bit of a feeling that a lot of the country really approves of what Trump is doing, even though it's a little bit uncertain.
Yeah. it is uncomfortable, right? Just watching the stuff, and I'm like, oh, even my portfolio, I'm like, I've lost some money too as well, right? And so I'm like, but
It's a little uncomfortable.
it is uncomfortable, but I think, I mean, how great would it be that obviously these tariffs start working the way they're supposed to be working,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
They pass this tax bill. All right, we get rid of the income tax. Why? Because the tariffs are handling it all, and we implement the fair tax, the sales tax. Across the board.
Yep.
You can't fib your way out of a fair tax, and you're going to pay that sales tax. And people are keeping more of their paycheck. Your income tax is not being deducted. Your Social Security is not being deducted. Your Medicaid's not being deducted. Why? Because the tariffs
pay for all of it,
and the sales tax is paying for all this stuff.
Yeah,
it's going to generate massive amount. And I think what people are also not seeing is that they were panicking so much. When Trump had declared Liberation Day with all these tariffs and stuff, but what we've also what's not being, I guess, shown in the media is how much has already been invested.
Yeah.
Into the U.S. economy. And I think it's like $3 or $5 trillion.
It's a lot.
These major corporations like Apple putting in $500 billion into the U.S. economy, right? And so, we've got $3 to $5 trillion that's being currently invested from countries, right? Or not countries, but organizations, companies that are putting this into the U.S. economy, right? Which is going to be phenomenal. And now we're experiencing this little bump in the road of these tariffs and the stock market. But I think as time progresses here, I think we're going to see it smooth out. It'll play out nice and smooth, and then we will start seeing that increase. At least that is what I'm hoping for. Again, we are as all these economists and things like that.
Yeah.
We are in uncharted territory.
Right. And in all reality, no one knows what's going on or what's going to happen. Nobody knows. Nobody has any idea. No matter how sure somebody sounds, no matter how certain one of these economists sound, that they know that the country is going to go in the crapper because of Trump's tariffs. Nobody knows.
Yeah, it is. I mean, this honestly could be a move that totally puts a huge mark on President Trump's, career.
No, it could ruin his political career.
It could. But at the same time, it could also be one of the greatest achievements of his political career.
Well, and Trump, as a very wealthy businessman, is obviously not afraid to make some big risks that come with big rewards. So that is yet to be seen if there is a big reward at the end of it. Now, it may be 1 or even 2 years into his administration when we start feeling these effects. But my goodness, you can't tell me that Americans, I mean, there might be some that are on the left side of the aisle that might be upset about this, but you can't tell me that your average American isn't going to be ecstatic if we can get rid of the income tax.
I mean, that would be.
I know I would be.
Yeah, I would be. I'd be super happy.
I have been. You can ask my family. I have said if Trump gets rid of the income tax, I'm voting for him for a third term. Oh man, no, but that would be huge for your average American. Yeah. I think that would be big. You're talk about putting money back in the pockets of Americans. We're talking about 20 to 30% raise overnight. That would just be insane.
Phenomenal.
So, yeah, that'd be wonderful.
Phenomenal. I imagine you can then contribute that to paying down your debt faster.
Right. Absolutely. You can get out of debt. Yeah.
I'm all about the snowball effect. Yeah. I've got a.
Sound like Dave Ramsey.
I know. I've got a car. I want to pay that sucker down.
Same here.
As fast as I can.
Yeah.
Right. And so yeah, I think once the Federal Reserve drops the interest rate, we're going to see momentum build up. Yeah. I think right now the Federal Reserve, back, they're waiting. They're just watching right now. They're watching the market, and whether or not it is a strongman arm in the sense of to get them to drop the interest rate. Mm-hmm. Obviously that's a theory.
But I mean, it's looking likely like it's going to happen. I mean, the Fed might have to slash interest rates in order to prevent a recession from coming out.
So it'll be interesting to watch as this develops. So I'm excited at the same time. I'm also nervous about it. I mean, that's
It's
my,
hard not to be nervous about it.
especially the crypto market, which is interesting because here's the thing about the crypto market. The crypto market is actually doing better than the stock market. Yes, cryptos have taken a huge hit, but overall, the percentage wise, the stock market has done much worse. The crypto market has held, right?
Yeah.
Yes, the crypto market has lost some money, quite a bit of money, but not as much to the extent of the stock market has. So this is just again another testament to the crypto world. If you're not in it, now's the time. Now's the time.
Yeah, now's a good time. Yeah, absolutely.
Now's a good time to get into the crypto market and so forth there. So I know there's a few stocks that I'm looking at that are AI, and I'm
Yeah.
like, they've dropped in price. So I'm like, AI stocks, things of that nature. Now's the time when its price is low, right?
Absolutely.
Fear is high, so people are selling. But hey, buy low and then just keep it. And then you just ride the waves. You just ride
Discount season.
them. Yeah.
Discount season.
So
Yeah, that's good. Man, we can kind of shift gears a little bit. We can, I think, probably the best one to jump into right now is the whole Alien Enemies Act thing that we've got here in our notes.
which has been interesting because if a federal judge put a halt on Trump using that act,
Yeah.
and I put in here the act has only been used 3 other times besides when it was officially created, which is 17 something whatever, but it was used in the War of 1812, right? It was used in World War One and in World War Two, and now obviously here recently. So it hasn't been. It's a presidential power that has not been used frequently, and here this allows the president to remove foreign aliens, as it refers to, illegal immigrants who have come into our country, and in times of war and things of that nature. And I haven't read the entire act. I've just read the synopsis on it and so forth from all the different news sources out there talking about it. But Trump has used it, and the Supreme Court yesterday granted the Trump the ability because the federal judge said put a halt to him, said hold up, you can't be doing this. And the Supreme Court has stepped in and said yes, the president can. And that's a win. It is a win for Trump.
Yeah, it's a big win. That's a big one. Because like you said, that federal judge held up, was trying to hold up the deportation of some pretty violent criminals. And having the Supreme Court come down and say like, no, this is legit.
Yeah.
And they have on whitehouse.gov, they have information on the Alien Enemies Act. They give you a kind of a brief synopsis as to the 4 parts of this act that's been invoked. So if you'd like to, you can go read it for yourself. I won't bore you with the details here, but it is interesting. One brief part of it here says any such alien enemy who attempts to enter, or is found within such territory shall be immediately apprehended and detained until removed from the United States. All such alien enemies, wherever found within any territory subject to the jurisdiction of the United States, are subject to summary apprehension. So basically saying anybody here illegally will no longer be here. Yeah.
So, there was I guess over the weekend, there was some political protest against Trump, or whatever the case is. And you had this one person, I forgot where she is from, but she came to the U.S. as a child, but she was proclaiming on screen basically that she isn't illegal and she's not worried about it, and Trump is da 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 da. So that sparked a media outrage. A lot of people calling for her deportation. So I'm interested to see if she does get picked up.
I'm sure she will.
I was trying to find the article, but I can't find it. But now is not the time. If you are here illegally, you fall into Aliens Enemies Act.
Well, and Trump is also encouraging self-deportation now. And it appears to actually be working. This has been somewhat recently, but there is some evidence to suggest that people are self-deporting. Like anybody, it's primarily people who came into America illegally within the last 4 years. Just in the Biden administration, basically.
Yeah.
Somebody who's been here illegally longer is probably less likely to leave. They probably do have some work that they're picking up under the
Solid
table, that kind
foundation.
of, right.
Yeah.
So they're probably less likely to leave unless they're forced to. But there is some evidence to suggest that there are some of the more recent illegal aliens, which a lot of them came over in the last 4 years, that they're self-deporting, which I think is fascinating. And it just goes to show the difference in tone between the Trump administration and the Biden administration on the border, and how it, like, really truly, it's not that hard to have a strong border and to have a healthy border on the southern end of the country. All you have to do is just not put up with any nonsense, and Joe Biden actually encouraged the nonsense. So
yeah. Well, I think just seeing here, the Department of Homeland Security and the Internal Revenue Service have come to an agreement to now permit ICE to access taxpayer information to locate illegal immigrants subject to deportation. So these are people who've missed their court date.
Yep.
The judges, they come into the U.S.
Yep.
And the judges declared, all right, you have a court date this date, and they've skipped their court date and they're just roaming, wherever.
Yep.
So now they're going to locate them much faster. So they are moving quick and swiftly, as Trump said he would.
Yep.
Day one, and it has not stopped whatsoever. So, So I think now what we're going to see now is, we saw definitely the wave hit in the first couple weeks of once Trump got into office with the deportations of obviously the criminal illegal immigrants. Now I think now we're just going to see again. Now there's just this huge another wave. But now this is just going after everybody.
Yeah.
Now everybody's being included in. So no, quite fascinating. So that's another win for Trump right there. Aliens and
I think it's a big one. And again, not really sure why that's controversial. I'm not really sure why people get so upset about that.
Yeah. That's interesting to see. All right, let's look at, I'm kind of curious here. This is becoming a huge one, and this is one that is, I know for me, interesting to watch. I don't know if Trump is conflicted on this. He doesn't appear to be. He doesn't want to do it. He'd rather have a deal. But Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. And they are supposed to be coming, well, he announced yesterday in his, he was sitting at the White House with Netanyahu and things, and declared, and stated that they have a meeting this Saturday with Iran. And that the only alternative is to bomb Iran.
Yeah.
That's a huge deal. I think Iran's going to come to the table. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I find it hard to imagine a reality where Iran doesn't, because they got to know that, like, they don't really want to mess with the United States. And I mean, I don't think the United States really wants to mess with Iran either, but not because Iran is some big threat. It's because they've got like giant people standing behind them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if the U.S. attacks Iran, it's going to set off a chain of events. But I mean, the fact of the matter is, come on, mano y mano, Iran versus Russia, or Iran versus the United States, Russia not included. It's no contest. Like the United States.
I would say there'll still be massive casualties on both sides.
Yeah. No, I think there would be, but I think it's right to say, make the assertion, Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. They cannot, because as soon as they do, they will use it. And And if they're not willing to come to the table, then there's not really many other options left, right? It's, I don't know. I mean, I don't necessarily want the United States to go into direct conflict with Iran. I would much rather have Iran come to the table and let's make a deal, and try to help out Iran as the country, and all of that. But yeah, I mean, if they're not willing to come to the table, I don't know what else you can do. I mean, we're running out of options here, and Iran's, yeah, I don't know what percent enrichment their uranium is at.
Yeah,
but it's getting there. It's close.
it is very close. They're almost at that threshold there for weaponized grade uranium, which I think is 60 or 90%.
Mm-hmm.
And they're almost there. And Israel has declared that they can't have it. We've declared that they can't have it, and that there will be. Trump has declared there will be a military response to this. And this is quite fascinating because, ever since Israel, with also the help of the U.S., has crippled Hamas, they've crippled the Houthis, they have destabilized, right, the hegemony of the Iranian proxies in the Middle East, right, even those on the northern Israel's northern border of Lebanon. I can't think of their names right now. Oh man. Well,
you're talking about the Iranian. Are you talking about Hezbollah?
Yeah, Hezbollah. Yeah. There we go. They've crippled them, right? And so Iran's hegemony right now currently is in the balance, right there. Now Turkey has absolutely loved this. Has absolutely loved what is going on, and now they've been able to sweep in because a vacuum has been created in Syria.
Right.
Have backed the current Syrian administration up. They backed that guy. I can't say his name. I'll butcher it. But they backed him, and they are sweeping into control parts of Syria.
Yeah.
And that's also a concern to Israel, is what Turkey is doing. All right, so we'll talk about that here in a second. But going back to Iran here, the Iran has declared. And matter of fact, they were just citing over the week. There's video over the weekend of the Ayatollah Khamenei's coming out and saying, death to Israel, and they must be wiped out, and so forth. Right. So they have every intent. We know exactly what they're going to do when they get a nuclear bomb. We know exactly.
It's not really up for debate as to what they're going to do.
That is why. And so they would definitely try to launch it at Israel and wipe out the Israelis. And I guarantee, they would try to launch it at the U.S. as well.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, 100%.
And so...
Well, because here's the thing. I mean, Iran can't afford to shoot second when fighting the United States.
No, it can't.
Right. They can't afford to be the second one to shoot. So their goal is to obtain a nuclear weapon, and using it on Israel is almost like guaranteed. That's going to happen. I suppose it's maybe up for debate a little bit if they're going to use it on the United States or not. I would say that they probably would.
Well, I don't know if their ICBMs have the capability of reaching us. I don't know.
Well, I don't know either, but I'm sure that they're going to try to get one. So it's a tense situation, and I don't really know what's going to happen over there as far as Iran's concerned.
This is the Middle East is obviously highly unstable, and this is. I don't know, what else can Trump win this one?
Yeah. Well, and it kind of goes back to. There's been lots of debate recently about if America has the backbone to win a war again.
Yeah.
And I've asked myself that question, especially during the Biden administration. Can America even win a war right now? Just with the attitude and the disposition of the country, and are we willing to do what it takes to win? A war again. It used to be America would go into war and there's no question who's coming out the winner, right? Like America's going to win. And that was the attitude in the country, right? It was like, call it arrogant, call it what you want, but it's like, hey, we're the best in the world. Come try to tell us different. You're gonna lose.
Yeah.
And I don't think that attitude's been there at all recently.
Yeah.
I think, you had 9/11 that spurred a big enlisting in the United States Armed Services. You had the whole Afghanistan, Iraq conflict that we were in for 20 years. And there was lots of like excitement about being in the military. There was lots of a feeling of serving your country and doing what's best for your country, and sacrificing your personal time and your personal life for your country. And that's kind of disappeared as of late, which is, I do think it's cool that Pete Hegseth is, his whole shtick right now is returning the warrior ethos, right? He wants to bring that back to the United States military, which I think is a good thing. I think that's a good thing. So, back to your question, can Trump win this?
Well, I have to rephrase that. I think either way he's going to win.
I think he will. I think he can.
Yeah, either way he gets a deal with Iran. Because I thought it was fascinating is that, when Trump declared the tariffs, Iran was having a holiday or something, so their market wasn't, it was off, right? So their federal level government, whatever, was off for the day. So their money currency didn't take a hit, not until they opened up their stock markets the next day or whatever, and their currency went down drastically. So they are definitely feeling the hit financially. They are hurting really, really bad, and the people honestly of Iran are fed up. They're actually fed up.
Yeah, and Trump has made this point repeatedly. It's not necessarily the people of Iran.
No, it's
the regime. Yeah,
and so either way, Trump's going to win. Either he gets a deal, or as he says, he doesn't want to. He said that very clear yesterday in front. I don't want to do it, but I will. Military strikes.
Yeah, and I think that kind of goes back to the whole, can America win a war or win a conflict to stop a war, right? I think Trump can. I think he's got the attitude and he has the backbone for it. And for the first time in a long time, there is statistical evidence to suggest that there is excitement about being in the American military again. I think enlistment has increased.
It has
month over month.
Yeah. Even the FBI.
Yeah.
Because Patel has been doing a great job. Everybody was like, a lot of people are criticizing Patel. The guy is in his first 100 days or so, he is doing phenomenal.
He's doing a killer job. Yeah.
Doing excellent. And I think this is like, and it's shot up to, applicants. There's like 10,000 some applications to become an FBI agent, right? And which is super cool. And I think that people are like, whoa, this is what we're doing. We're not targeting now religious groups, the FBI,
right?
Or political stuff. No, they're doing what they are going after crime lords, crime bosses.
Yep.
Right? They're going after these guys, what they were, created for, and so forth. And I think people in the FBI and people on the outside who want to be in the FBI are seeing that. They're like, this is so cool. We're having a great time. This is what we're doing. Yeah. and it's just like, I'm not doing some boring political
right.
It's like, this is so boring because there's nothing here, right? No, there's like, there's stuff here and we're having a great time. Let's go bust this guy's door down and go arrest him.
Absolutely, right? Yeah.
They're having a great time. And, wake up and be like, all right, FBI, what am I doing today for work? And you drink your coffee and you're like, I'm just going to go arrest somebody. All right, let's do it. We're having a great time.
Oh my goodness.
Kudos to Patel, man. Kudos to him. He's doing great.
Yeah. He's doing a great job. But I do think that there is a general shift happening in relation to the American armed forces. Recruitment for each branch of the military, as far as I'm aware, has increased month over month. And doesn't necessarily show signs of slowing down. And, Pete Hegseth came out the other day and made the physical standards for being in the military equal for men and women. There's lots of people that are probably going to be upset about that, saying that it's going to result in less women in combat situations. But what you got to understand is he's not doing that. He's not doing this with the goal of getting women out of combat situations. He's doing this with the goal of saying, hey, the American military has a standard, and you have to meet that standard regardless if you're male or female. Mm-hmm. And if you can meet it and you're a female, then great. If you can't, then great. You can serve elsewhere. Yeah. But the idea that we should have to decrease our physical standards, mm-hmm. To allow a certain people group to be in combat when combat doesn't decrease its standards. Combat is combat.
Yeah.
And I'm saying that as a civilian. I've never experienced combat in my life. But it stands to reason. Combat probably isn't going to be less severe for the woman, even though the physical standards to get into combat situations are less intense than the male standards, right? I was curious to get your thoughts on that as
I didn't Marine. Actually, I still need to go back and review that and watch it because I haven't read all the stuff on it yet. But so I'm just going off of what you're stating there.
Sure.
I haven't looked at it yet. You're absolutely right. Combat, it has a standard, and that standard is that it is hard. It's tough. It is not, it's not gonna be like, oh, you're a minority, so let me make it easier on you, right? Oh, you're a woman, you may make it easier on you, right? It doesn't do that. It is, you have an enemy. They hate you. They want to kill you. You must do what you must do in order to survive.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's right.
You must endure getting shot at, and and rely on your training. Right. Yeah. And that training may have you carrying, 100 and some pounds worth of gear.
Yeah.
Right. And in running 3 clicks, and then jumping right into a firefight. Right. It's a lot. It is certainly a lot. And, I think you need to have a standard. If you start sacrificing or, giving up standards when it comes to the military, and that's for any country's military, that's a sign of weakness as well.
Yeah.
Right. You start running the risk then of your military not being strong to counter threats because a stronger one comes in that is more disciplined, maybe, or higher standards. Right. You drop the standards, you drop expectations.
Yeah.
Right. And,
yeah, absolutely.
And currently the enemies of America, right? They do exist out there. They're not dropping their standards. They're not dropping the expectations.
No.
And so neither can we. Right. And I think the thing is that, when I was in the military, you was adapt the warrior mindset.
Yeah.
And what is the warrior mindset? The warrior mindset is, okay, I need to be lethal. Why do I need to be lethal? Because they're going to be lethal against me. I need to learn how to shoot properly. I need to learn how to, gather intelligence properly. I need to know how to be disciplined properly, and so forth. You're adapting these skills and these techniques in order to be a killer on the field. And that's what the military was created for, to create a legalized group of killers.
Yeah.
To engage the enemy and kill them first.
Yeah, it's in the name of security and protecting our freedom, right?
It is. And, I see a lot of kids today in the military, and they don't have the warrior mindset, but they certainly, and I still respect them. It's good on them, but my concern is that, even under Biden, because I was still, I was in the reserves under Biden, and I'd see these kids come in and, the warrior mindset just didn't exist.
No, just not there.
They were there serving, and I was grateful. I still am grateful that they're serving. But my concern was that to them, the possibility and reality of war was something that was just so far off.
Yeah.
It was so far off. And for
Well, it's
me,
like that'll never happen.
yeah,
I'll be in the military and I'll do my time here, and then I'll be covered for the rest of my life.
yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Yeah.
And so for me, having gone through and experienced Afghanistan, I was just like, the possibility of it occurring at any moment, it was still real to me.
Yeah.
And so everything I did, I was just like, okay, I need to make sure I'm doing this to the best ability, my ability, learning my stuff, knowing my job and what I do. And,
Right.
I see these kids that are like that's, it was just such a distant foreign concept to them. And
Yeah.
now Pete Hegseth is bringing it into the table, and he's just like, these are the standards. These are the physical standards.
Yeah.
These are the grooming standards. Okay? These
Yeah.
have to be maintained.
Yeah. Yeah. I
So
think that's a good thing.
it is.
I think the attitude that he brings to, specifically the military is, I think it's for the best. I don't have a problem with equal standards for men and women in the United States military. And will that result in less women in combat? Probably.
Mm-hmm.
Is it because they're women that they're not allowed in combat? No, it's because they can't meet the physical standards, and the physical standards are what they are. And I don't really know why. Again, there's lots of this stuff that's happening in the Trump administration so far that it's just like, I'm not really sure why this is controversial. It seems pretty common sense to me. Like,
Yeah.
Not decreasing the standards to be in a combat role in the military, because combat doesn't decrease its difficulty based on if you're male or female. So,
I served with a lot of women in the military, and they're absolutely great, phenomenal, and we need them. We need their skill sets and so forth, right?
yeah,
And they are absolutely valuable. And but by far, even when I was in, and even now, very few women want the combat roles, the direct combat infantry roles,
yeah,
and you know and I think that says, I'm not saying that women are not afraid to fight. By all means, there are women out there who can. Look at history. There are some women who are lethal killers on the battlefield. They've been lethal killers on the
yeah,
battlefield. And matter of fact, in World War II, there was a pair of female snipers from Russia, and
yeah,
they were deadly. They were absolutely deadly on the battlefield. And so women can certainly do the job. I
sure,
think but looking at maintaining those standards in the combat elements of the military. And people got to realize that a lot of people think that when you join the military, you're automatically in a combat job, and you're
yeah,
not. You're
no,
not. Very small. I want to say very small, but a small percentage actually makes up the combat roles, the direct infantry, the direct combat operations.
yeah,
A lot of the people in the military are combat support.
yeah,
The majority of people in the military are combat support. So you have combat support, and then you've got the direct combat. And I'm not going to go on all the different MOSs, military occupational specialties, but the majority of women are in the combat support roles.
yeah,
Right? Very very few. Once they said women can go into the combat roles, very few have actually done it since
yeah.
authorized to that.
Well,
And
and you can correct me if I'm wrong. It's my opinion that the reason why men have more proclivity to doing direct combat is, it's kind of built into our factory settings,
yeah,
right? Like, we're supposed to protect. We're
established in
supposed,
our DNA.
absolutely. We are built and designed to protect the ones that we love, including
Yeah.
the women in our life, right? There's a reason why men are able to do that job more efficiently, and not that women aren't capable of doing it. This is not a sexist remark. There are biological differences between men and women, and men have more of an interest and more of a desire to go into direct combat to protect the things that are important to them, including their family, their wives, their children, their daughters, right? It's kind of built into the factory settings. So I think what Pete Hegseth is doing over there is great. We mentioned Kash Patel briefly. I think he's doing great things with the FBI, trying to establish trust with the American people again in the FBI. Yeah, I definitely think it's a good thing. So, you want to touch on Russia and Ukraine for a little bit? We got a few minutes left.
Yeah,
Anything going on? I'm not sure all that's going on with them right now.
There's still skirmishes going on between them. It looks like it. So I was like, I haven't followed along enough because the media has been pretty silent on it. Yeah, you actually have to research it to see what's going on. I know there was some sort of agreement reached, but I haven't seen no official like, hey, we're in a peace deal, moment right here. So
I did kind of look into it while you were talking a little bit. It looks like that Russia did bomb Ukraine recently.
Yeah,
so,
I saw that. The skirmishes.
Yeah, that's interesting there. So I don't know enough about it to actually speak to it on an informed basis. So
I think there's Ukraine troops in Russia's Belgorod area. So I don't know. I haven't been following it enough yet here recently.
Yeah, it's all good. All good.
It is. So I guess we'll see. If it can, what I think he can.
Yeah.
Trump bring these guys to the table to stop killing each other.
Yeah. Yeah, that would definitely be a good thing. That would definitely be a good thing. Yeah, so we're coming into our last 4 or 5 minutes here. So yeah, we can probably go ahead and start wrapping it up for today. Just a little bit of announcements here. We said last week that this week was going to be the re-release of one of our previous episodes, and that is not the case. It is actually next week. That would be next week. Yeah. So it'll be next Tuesday. I don't know the date of that right now.
I'll get it here. It's the 14th.
The 14th. So Tuesday the 15th.
Yeah, 15th.
Tax day.
Yeah, tax day. File your taxes.
File your taxes. Yeah, it might be the last time.
It might be. That'd be so cool, man.
That would be so good.
Cool. Well, no, you have to do it last year because.
That's right. That's right.
I mean, not last year. You have to
next year. Because you made money in 2025 that was taxed.
Yeah, but the 2026 year, you wouldn't have to file taxes.
Yeah, that would be wonderful.
The following year, you wouldn't have to do it. Anyway,
that would be so good.
That would be cool.
That would be nice. Yeah, so April 15th, next week, our episode that will be released is we are going to re-release episode 12 with Cody Bates. He gave his testimony and his journey with Christ and a little bit through the military and that kind of thing. So we chose that episode to re-release because Cody's actually getting married on Friday.
This
week. So he is finally going to get married and
settle down.
Brandon wants him to have twins. So we'll see if that happens or not. But we're going to re-release episode 12 for next week. And yeah, it'll be good. So stay tuned for that. If you didn't see it when it was first released, you'll see it now. We're almost, I think, 40 episodes in. So it's been a little while since we've spoken with him. So, and then the week after that, we'll have our regularly scheduled programming. And then the last Tuesday in April, we will be having another guest on to talk about cryptocurrency, talk about kind of what's going on with crypto. What is it? Maybe some basic questions about cryptocurrency for your average consumer. And yeah, it'll be an informative episode. So it'll be good. Before we get out of here, I'll just remind you to go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit the bell so you get notified anytime we post a new episode. Go ahead and comment on the video. We'd love to engage with you down in the comment section, even if this is on a short clip that you find of ours floating around the YouTube land. We'd love to engage with you in the comment section, see what you think, whether you agree with us or disagree with us. We try to get to everybody. So yeah, we'd certainly appreciate that. If you're listening on a podcast platform, go ahead and follow the show. We greatly appreciate that. And leave a review. Writing a review in there helps us out a lot. It boosts us in the algorithms and whatnot and all that. So we'd certainly appreciate all that. But without further ado, we will go ahead and duck out of here for today. And we won't see you next week. We'll see you the week after that. But tune in next week for the episode with Cody. it's certainly a good and uplifting and encouraging and edifying episode that we did. And, we're excited to put that back out there. So we will catch you all on the flip side.